Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, I thought it would be fun to do a first quarter check-in on our goals. So I did an entire episode about my 2023 goals for my business and for the podcast, and I am going to revisit some of those, and we are going to chat a little bit in general about goals. And the timing is good, not only because we just finished the first quarter, but also over in the book club, we are reading a book by Zig Ziglar called Goals. And a lot of what he talks about aligns with how I set goals, and some of it doesn't. So I might make some little tweaks moving forward rather than digging in my heels and thinking, well, this is a goal I set and I'm going to stick with it. I think there's nothing wrong with reevaluating and shifting or reprioritizing, or some of the goals I have forgotten or maybe am not super passionate about anymore. So that is what I'm going to get into in this episode. I'm going to open my Bright Balloon planner and read through and just kind of assess where I am and where I'm going. Also, if you are a Patreon member, if you're a member of the book club, our in-person Zoom chat is typically the 25th of the month, but because I was in Texas teaching a class, we had to bump it. So it is actually going to be the 31st, which will be tomorrow. So if you feel like you missed it or you didn't know that that was something we do, there is a Zoom link waiting for you in your email and in the Patreon group that all members of the book club are invited to join so we can chat about our key takeaways from the monthly book. So I hope you can join. If you are curious what the book club is or interested in joining, that link is also in the show notes. And when you join, you get access to all of the bonus episodes from all of the books we've ever done, which is a lot at this point. So you can check that out if you are interested. So let's take a quick break to hear from a sponsor and then get into our first quarter goal recap. Okay, guys, you know exactly who I'm going to talk about and what I'm going to say because our sponsors are so consistent and awesome. Of course, I'm talking about Having a Party Wholesale. They have been a sponsor for such a long time now. I love hearing that you guys are ordering from them, that you are checking out their website, and that you are seeing what great people they are running that business. But in case you don't know, Having a Party Wholesale is a balloon distributor, and they sell everything from balloons to inflators to all of the gear that you could ever need to run your professional business. So now is a great time to load up for summer, and they've even created a 5% off discount code for listeners of the show when you use the code BRIGHT at checkout. So head over to havingaparty.com to check them out today. All right, let's jump right in. So I have my Bright Balloon Planner for 2023. If you are not aware, these are available on Amazon. And even though, you know, we're a good portion of the year in, you don't have to wait till the first of the year to start goals. You can start anytime. And this planner basically lays it out for you so that you can set your big goals and break it down into little mini steps and check things off along the way. Totally optional. But when I was trying to find a planner for my business, they were all too much. They were too all-encompassing. Like, I don't want to have my daily schedule and my grocery list and my goals all in the same place, right? Like, it's too much. So this is a more generalized planner that is specific to your goals, and it gives you checkpoints and different stats that you can kind of cross-check along the way, all in one spot. So I love just knowing that this is my book for all things balloons, and I can always check back if I ever feel a little aimless or like I'm wandering or like I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be working on. So just as a review, my big goals for this year were to set boundaries in order to achieve success, make more working less, rely on recycling, and my big sales goal is $250,000 in sales this year. So I did an entire episode about those goals. I didn't do a deep dive into like every single section of those goals, but let's start and just check in and see where I'm at. And a lot of these, I think I'm going to shift, and I might be setting some new goals during this episode. So the first one, set boundaries. This came from the just feeling of always being on a hamster wheel. Like I felt like I was always answering emails and always answering Instagram messages. And even with the podcast, I was making myself available anytime a guest wanted to record. So I just felt like burnout was coming, and I needed to set some healthy boundaries. So one of the things that I'm very proud I can actually cross off completely right now is to provide and decide on a set interview schedule. So you might be curious about how interviews happen on the podcast. A lot of them are referrals or recommendations. Some people reach out to me. If you have an idea for the podcast and you'd like to be a guest, you just have to email me. That is the first step. Like, this is not an exclusive club. This is anyone with information to share. I am ready to listen. However, those emails back and forth, and then finding a time to record, and then sending the Zoom link, and then making sure everyone's on the same page, like that actually took a lot of time and made guest interviews really exhausting. So I have now set up through 17 Hats online scheduling. So if you send me an email and you pitch an idea to be on the show, or if I reach out to you to be on the show, now I get to just say, cool, here's the link to schedule your interview. And people can kind of just schedule in whatever times they want. And because 17 Hats is the best, I also have it synced with Zoom, so that Zoom link auto generates and sends to the person. So it has been so awesome. It actually makes scheduling interviews fun now. And I get a little notification on my calendar, and sometimes the night before it's like, oh yeah, I get to talk to so-and-so tomorrow. Like I totally forgot. And it's made it really enjoyable and easy. And something interesting, I mean, that's you could apply to your own businesses. If you have 17 Hats, you can utilize this online scheduling function for a lot of different ways. So I use it obviously for my grab and go garlands. That's how people schedule and pay for their grab and goes. But more and more I'm wondering, am I going to utilize this in my balloon business the way that I've started to in the podcast, and allow clients to schedule themselves in for a meeting about their job? And I think I would probably not have it be completely accessible on my website so that anybody could do it, because I don't want people scheduling in to talk to me about a grab and go garland, right? But having that link that I can then share with like corporate clients and allowing some of these bigger jobs to schedule meetings, I think could be really, really valuable. So I am going to cross this goal off. Goal accomplished. And this is my mini goal under my giant goal of setting boundaries. So I also am able to restrict the times where people schedule. So this is another, okay, I'm just talking about 17 Hats now because I love it. But this is another very cool feature of the online scheduling. It cross-checks my availability with my schedule. So if I have a job or something that day, it knows that I'm not available, and it's not going to make that time an option for guests scheduling into the show. So that is very cool as well. So that's a firm way to set boundaries. And I've limited, so my interviews are mostly on Thursday and Friday mornings, because that's what works for me. And that is a new boundary that I've set. I used to try to kind of cram them in whenever, but then my daughter would be home and my dogs would be barking, and it would just kind of be a mess. So this is a good boundary that I've set for me and for the podcast. Like, no one likes a dog barking in the background of a podcast. So mission accomplished. I feel proud about that one. Let's see. The next one I have here, I just crossed it off and I put quit my job. And I did that. Woo! Insert sound effect. So that was one of those goals that really wasn't a goal. And then all of a sudden it crept up out of nowhere, and it was more than a goal. It was like a necessity. It was like, I have to quit my full-time job or I'm going to die. And I've said this multiple times. My job was great until it wasn't, and then it got really bad really fast. So that's kind of one of those instances where you might have to kick one of your other goals to the curb to make way for something that's more pressing. I obviously put that under set boundaries, and I did. I quit my job, and I'm going to cross that. I'm going to cross that one off. Now, the last one that I have in here is about, I'm trying to think, how do I want to phrase this? This is about people asking questions. And this is about you guys. So it's weird to record this. That's why I'm hesitant here. But I'll just be really honest. I struggle with setting boundaries with listeners, with people who reach out and ask questions on Instagram or send me emails or find me on Facebook, because I love this podcast and I love doing it. And I am a bit worried that if I'm not answering everybody's questions all the time about every single topic, that you'll get irritated and be like, well, who does she think she is? She sucks. She didn't answer my question. The end. And I obviously know that's not going to happen. And that's not a reality that I can live in, but I am a people pleaser. So I like to try to provide answers for everybody. So I wouldn't say that I can check this little mini goal off of my list here in terms of setting boundaries, but I am trying to formulate a way to really not eliminate those questions. I love chatting with you guys, but I guess grow in confidence in knowing when I can answer a quick question and when I'm maybe like over serving. Like there's a difference between asking a quick like, hey, where'd you get that? Or how'd you do that? Versus someone asking me to explain like a full install setup, especially when it's something that is available elsewhere. Like, oh, you can buy this download, or I have this available to purchase, or you should join Mastermind and all the answers are there. Because it does get dicey when I am in groups where everyone is paying for that information, and then I feel weird just giving it away for free in a Instagram DM. I hope that makes sense and doesn't make me sound weird or greedy, but that is something that I struggle with. I'm a people pleaser and I love providing information, but I feel like you guys are the best, like the best listeners ever. And I feel like everyone is always very polite in that area. There have been a couple people who are like demanding, and I'm okay pissing them off. Like, I don't like that. I don't like when people lack basic manners and like demand information, but that's far and few between. Most people are like, hey, so sorry to bother you. Do you have any advice about this? And I'm happy to provide that. But this is more a boundary I need to set for myself. Like, I can't be prioritizing Instagram messages over like my daughter, right? Like, so this is just like a personal boundary that I need to kind of figure out, and I think mostly just get more comfortable with. All right, next goal that I am working on this year: make more, working less. Last year, I felt like I worked a lot. I felt like if you told me like, oh, you're going to hit your sales numbers again and then some, I almost was like, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. It was too hard. Like, I worked really, really hard last year, and I'm not interested in feeling like that again. So make more, working less. So first of all, this was a fun one. Learn to make money using credit card points. So my first little mini step, my action steps, I wanted to read this blog. I watch these YouTubers, Kara and Nate. If you guys are looking for some like very easy, enjoyable YouTube content, they're travel vloggers and they just go all over the world. And I find them just really enjoyable. So they have a blog about travel hacking, basically like which card to get, how to use it, how to get airline points. So my first mini step was to read that, and I did. Then my next step was to open a credit card, which I know that sounds insane, but I've never had a credit card. My husband and I have never had credit cards. We've always just paid with cash and debit. Like we don't ever buy anything we don't have the money to buy, which I credit a lot of our financial security to that. I definitely was a fan of Dave Ramsey and his financial teachings, which is all about paying with cash and not getting into credit card debt. So I was almost taught that credit cards are like evil and scary. But then when I started traveling more to go to conventions or to go on vacations, I became aware that a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't even have to pay. I just used my points. Points paid for this, points. And I was like, why does everybody have points? What are points? Can someone tell me about points? So I started looking into credit card points, and it's a good deal. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you can pay off your balance every month and not get into financial trouble, credit cards can be a valuable tool. So I got a business credit card, which I've never had. And we got a personal, actually, we kind of went crazy. We got a few personal credit cards. And surprisingly, this is what I think is cool about goal setting. Because I wrote it down and then started kind of telling people about them, my husband also became aware of my goals. And this is one of the areas where he got really interested. He actually kind of took this goal off my plate and he became the credit card manager and opener and got really into figuring out the flights and the points. So like, I can't say that I have necessarily mastered this goal, but I've also kind of like outsourced it to my husband. So he is now kind of managing these points and kind of enjoying it, which I find fun because I don't know that it's something I'm super passionate about. I'm all about convenience, and sometimes that extra step of booking a flight with airline miles or whatever, I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to do it. So I'm very happy that he is. And my last little action step on here to like cross this one off my list is to fly to Summit for free. So I'm going to Balloon Boss Summit in November. I go every year. And because I know I go every year, that was a flight that I had my eyes set on. Like, I know I'm going to pay for this flight. It's usually like, I don't know, $500 round trip. And this year I want to fly there for free with credit card points. And I'm going to do it. Like, I'm so close to doing this. I just have to book the flight. Like, I have the points. I just need to book the flight, which I haven't done yet. And I should do this week. So how I got those points is from our personal family credit cards. There's a lot of credit cards that have like a minimum spend. And once you hit that spend, you get like these crazy bonus points, right? Like you get like 40,000 points when you spend your first dollar on the credit card. So most of the points we've gotten have been just from opening the cards. And then I have gotten points on my business credit card because I've basically just put every single expense on the credit card and then I just pay it off every month. So instead of paying with like my debit card, I'm just using my credit card and then paying that off, and it's converting not necessarily to points. I think I got the Chase Inc. credit card, and I didn't even do the research about what the best one was. This was just one that I could open on the Chase app. It doesn't cost any money, and it's cash back. So I already have like a couple $1,000s of cash back that I can apply at any moment for literally doing nothing. Like, instead of paying with a debit card, I paid with a credit card and then paid that off with my debit card. So it's no additional work and it's free money. So that is the epitome of what this goal was, which was make more, working less. That is like a nice little loophole to find additional cash that you didn't have to do anything additional to gain. So my credit card journey is just starting, definitely not an expert, but that is a goal that I think will serve me well outside of my business also. All right, make more, working less. Grab and go garlands. You know I'm a fan of these. My goal is to sell 200 grab and go garlands this year. That is $20,000 worth of income. That feels pretty darn passive. Obviously, it's not net $20,000. I sell them for $100 each. And the materials cost money. I pay Kate to inflate them. I pay the grocery store to, they get a cut for being my new pickup spot. So if you don't know anything I'm saying and you're interested right now, there are several grab and go garland episodes that I'll link to where I explain that fully. But basically, grab and go garlands feel like free money because I don't have to go and do the install, and I also don't have to be at my house waiting for people to come and get their balloons. Kate makes them, she inflates everything, we drop them off at the Piggly Wiggly down the street, and then people come whenever they're available to pick those up. And the Piggly Wiggly customer service handles those pickups. So I don't have to be there. So it feels like I'm making more, working less. And I am very, very, very shy of that goal. I'm nowhere near 200. I think I'm at like 20. Like, I'm not going to lie. I've hardly sold any this year, but they're coming in more. And that is why grab and goes are cool. It's because when you're booked, which is like for me, the summer months, when I'm booked, that's when I offer a grab and go garland as like an alternative. And that's when they really start to sell. So I don't know that I'll hit 200. That seems like a lofty goal. But last year, I think I did almost 100 of them. So it's not crazy. I'm glad that I'm doing this episode because I've kind of forgotten about that goal. So my action steps were to add grab and goes to my homepage on my website, expand to more stores, which I did, which I can't say has necessarily helped the sales. Being in the grocery stores has not helped my sales. I am still sending my customers to the grocery stores, not vice versa. I wanted to update my 17 hats form to make it easier to find. And then this is one easy one that I could do. I want to have my grab and goes notifications in my autoresponder. So the very first email when people fill out the form, once they get that email back, I want to have a mention of my grab and go garland in there as well, which I haven't done yet. And I think I'm actually going to have to add a couple more action steps to accomplish this mini goal because these things aren't going to sell themselves. So I need to start pushing those if I am going to make my goals. Let's see. I'm going to move on to my next big goal, which is rely on recycling. So I felt like last year, specifically for the podcast, for the Bright Balloon, I just kept churning out content, and that can get exhausting. So everything having to be new all the time obviously will burn you out, will burn me out. So I really wanted to rely on recycling more because I knew I had all of this good content. I had all of these amazing interviews, and some of the early episodes are really good. But if people find the podcast, now, they're probably not going to go back and listen from the beginning to catch up. I mean, some of you do. Some of you are hardcore, and I applaud you. I applaud you. But for the most part, there are a lot of interviews that you guys probably haven't heard. So I am trying to recycle those in the form of Instagram posts, or I have an idea to make like playlists, or I would like to highlight different kinds of people. Like, this month we're going to do a throwback to all of the interviews where we talked about people with retail locations. Or this month we're going to talk only to moms. Or like I have a lot of ideas of how I want to kind of recycle and reserve some content. I wouldn't say I've necessarily mastered this, but you will see some like Instagram posts of interviews that happened a long time ago. And I know that people haven't heard them because they're like in the comments, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen. Or, oh, this sounds like it's going to be so good. Even though that interview happened a year ago. So I do feel like it's recycling not out of laziness. It's recycling out of, I want people to hear the interviews that were really compelling and great that they might have missed. So that is pushing, old resources and trying to make them new again. That is one of my mini goals. So I'm working on that, and I feel like that will always be a work in progress. So the other thing that I want to do to highlight some of this older content is focus on my blog. So I have a brand new website, and it has a nice, beautiful, easily accessible blog that I know I could be utilizing more. That does a couple things. It makes content searchable. It makes it easy to read. So like if you don't want to re-listen to an entire episode, but you knew that there was something in an episode that you want to refer back to, a blog would be a great way to turn that audio into text. So there's a lot of benefits to a blog, and I haven't really doubled down on that yet. However, I have a brand new website from Balloon Suite, and it has a blog that I am not utilizing that I think I should start. So speaking of Balloon Suite, let's take a break and hear from our sponsor and then get back into my quarterly checkup on my goals. All right, I want to take a second to thank one of our sponsors, Balloon Suite, for not only supporting the show, but for supporting our industry so specifically. If you are in need of a balloon website, you should go to someone who builds balloon websites. And that is exactly what Balloon Suite does, including thebrightballoon.com. So if you want to check out what their work looks like, you can head over to my website and see for yourself. So if you are in need of some help on your website or any of your digital needs, Balloon Suite is my recommendation, and you can check them out in the show notes wherever you are listening. All right, so I mentioned I wanted to recycle some of my old content. So rely on recycling was my third big goal of the year. Another thing that I wanted to focus on besides some old, highlighting old interviews and working on building up a blog, I wanted to automate a process to turn each podcast into more content. And I wouldn't say I've automated this yet. This is actually an area I think I really need to work on. Because these feel big. These feel big to me. One of these things is researching an editor. And editors are really expensive for podcasts. Like some of them are like hundreds of dollars an episode. And I'm just not in that league quite yet. But I don't want to just limit myself by being like, well, they're too expensive and I'm not going to do it. So I just want to start researching what it would look like to have an editor. Obviously, if you guys listen, that is an area where I struggle, like sound editing and making sure that everybody's at equal volume when we do interviews. Like that's really hard. And it's something I still haven't really figured out totally. So researching an editor, researching a social media manager. I did do this and ultimately I decided it's not for me. Like I like being the manager of my social presence. I don't think that's ever anything that I'm going to outsource. It's like I'm almost rather be dormant and inactive on social media than have someone else do it. And maybe that's the wrong approach, but I feel like when people outsource, I feel like I can tell. I can feel like they lose their voice or their tone. I rather just be myself, a little bit sloppy and be on social media as me. So I am not going to move forward with a social media person, but that is something I considered. Something else, little nuts and bolts, update my workflow, figure out what pieces of content could come from each episode. So I have you've maybe seen some of these on Instagram, like little studio, videos of me kind of recapping some of the episodes. So I am still very much working on, this category. It's definitely not automated. It's still a lot of work. But again, there's so much content that I want to share and reshare. That's the goal of this piece. Okay, and then the last thing is scheduling out some social media so I could just set it and forget it. And I have done that. I would say those posts aren't performing very well. I think Instagram and their algorithm definitely knows when things are scheduled and they don't like it. But I don't care. That was kind of a goal I set, like to just not really be controlled by social media, because I can't. Like that's kind of what I've come to. Some days I want to play the game, some days I don't. So I just have some scheduled content out there. So it's going to go out when it's going to go out. Is it the best way to optimize using Instagram or the algorithm? No, probably not. But it's also done, and that is what I needed to happen. So I have been utilizing social media scheduling, even though I'm always reevaluating my social media plan. I'm always kind of trying new things, and that's the fun of it, right? Like I just don't want to feel like I have to be on Instagram. I don't want my business to depend on Instagram, and I don't think it does, honestly. I think a lot of you find me on Instagram, but then a lot of you are on my email list, a lot of you subscribe to the podcast, and that's how you find out about new episodes and new events and stuff. So I just don't want to be a slave to social media. I think it's really mentally challenging for me. Like it makes me feel bad about myself. And I know I'm not the only one. Anytime I talk about it, people agree. It's just amazing how I can have a great day and then I pop open Instagram and I see something that can just derail me. And all of a sudden I'm down on myself. And I just don't want to do that anymore. All right, next big goal, my sales goal, $250,000 in sales. So I think I'm going to do this, you guys. I'm on track. I am selling up a storm. And it's so funny because I told my husband this morning, after I quit my job, something changed. And I don't know why, because I've done nothing. After I quit my job, I haven't changed a sales strategy. I haven't changed the way that I do anything. I haven't changed my SEO on my website. Like nothing has changed, but I am getting new jobs. I'm getting big jobs, and I'm in a very comfortable place sales-wise. So I hope you are all feeling the same way. I feel like it's going to be a good sales year. I'm very thrilled and excited by that. One of the things that is contributing to this kind of making this sales goal feel easy is that I am focusing all of my energy on my big pumpkins. So if you don't know what I mean by my big pumpkins, I am a huge fan of The Pumpkin Plan by Mike Michalowicz. This was a book that I read. I think it was one of our first books over in the book club. And I did an episode about it on the podcast as well. I think I've done 2. I love this book. And one of the concepts from this book is to focus on your big pumpkins. So if you're a pumpkin farmer and all of your pumpkins in the field are growing, they're all feeding off the same vine, and you're the vine. So all of those nutrients, they can't flow to the big pumpkins and let them grow nice and big and juicy if there's other like little pumpkins and dead pumpkins and rotten pumpkins. And there's all these other little pumpkins sucking your nutrients, right? But if you cut those off, if you get rid of all of those little pumpkins and you just stay really focused on your big pumpkins and nurture them so that they can continue to grow, that is where businesses thrive. And I am a believer in this concept. So I have my big pumpkins. They are annual events. They are corporate. They are repeat. And I do whatever I need to do to keep them happy. And part of that is reaching out early and making sure to foster those relationships. And it also has helped me not be concerned with competition in my area because I have my pumpkins. They have their pumpkins. It's not really competition if you're all just nurturing your own clients and keeping them happy. So I love the pumpkin plan. I think I might say something now that I'm not totally ready to say, but whatever, I'm going to say it. Okay. So part of this is I am getting certified to be a pumpkin plan strategist. So I'm really excited. Like if you can't hear my voice, like I can hear, my voice just shifted. Like I am psyched to be able to help you guys pumpkin plan your businesses. So basically this is a certification process that I will purchase into. I'll be in a cohort. I will get certified by Mike Michalowicz and his team to be able to teach and kind of lead you guys through this process to grow your own big pumpkins, to go after those great big juicy clients, and more importantly, to figure out what those clients look like, who they are, how to find them, how to find more of them, and why you like them, right? This isn't going to be any fun if your biggest clients are also people you hate working with and total nightmares, right? The plan is really holistic. It's to find your dream clients and then find more of them and then to rebook them every single year. Like that's why I think right now my business feels really easy and really fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still working my butt off, but because I am so focused, because I am right now as I record this, I am looking at a whiteboard in front of me with the list of the names of my top 10 clients. That is superior. That is the most important thing in my business. And it's listed right in front of me so I can see it all the time. So anytime I get derailed and distracted by, Instagram or this idea or, my email's overflowing, or I really should update my website, blah, blah, blah. No, all I need to do is look at that list of clients and make sure that they are happy, that they are booking, that their jobs were awesome, that their events were a success. Like it has given me such clarity and focus in my business that I feel super confident and excited. And it's not like, oh, those are my clients and I can't take any more. That's the joy of it because I've been able to clearly identify what makes my clients perfect for me. I'm also able to identify when a new potential big pumpkin comes rolling into my inbox and I can see them a mile away and I know they're going to be like perfect for me and I'm going to be perfect for them. And I get so excited about all of this. So that is another huge goal that I guess kind of fits into this sales goal category. I kind of just went off on a whim there, but part of my sales also comes from this podcast, a very small part of it, but part of that does come from here. So more to come on that. I am getting certified in the pumpkin plan, and that will now be, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be something available to you guys to utilize in your businesses as well. Probably not until the fall, because myself included, but I think everybody is really busy in the summer. It's probably not the best time to like launch a new thing. But coming in fall, I hope to be certified by then and have something available to offer. So those are my goals. That was my little check-in. That felt a bit self-indulgent, but I know you guys always like hearing what I'm working on. I like hearing what you're working on. So if you are working towards a goal and you are smashing them all, please let me know. Send me a message. I love those messages. I love hearing about your wins and your successes. I don't know. I was probably a little bit more honest in this episode than I should have been, but whatever. I'm very excited about how everything's going since leaving my full-time job. I feel like I'm just now coming out of that initial wave of kind of like overwhelm and resituating and finding a new life balance being full-time in balloons. But everything is going kind of according to plan. If you feel like you don't have a plan and you don't set goals, I would highly, highly recommend that you just sit down with a pen and paper today, make a list of what you want to work on this year. Otherwise, I think you fall into this trap of feeling like you're not doing anything, but you're working all the time and not accomplishing any goals, but you don't actually know what your goals are. So you can pick up a Bright Balloon business planner on Amazon if you want. We'll link that in the show notes. Otherwise, just a notebook or the notes app on your phone. Just the consistency of having something to work towards is what always helps me in my business. So first quarter is behind us. We are well into the second. I hope you are all accomplishing your goals, or at least know what they are, and having a great start to this busy summer season. I will see some of you this week in our book club chat, which is about goal setting. So I can't wait to hear what you're all working on. And if you'd like to join us, it's still not too late. You can sign up today and I'll send you the link for tomorrow's meeting. And I will chat with you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. As usual, I try to keep it bright and light. If you are interested in bonus episodes, check out our Patreon group where I release an additional episode every single week and you unlock more than 50 archived episodes as soon as you join. Check out the link in the show notes wherever you're listening.